And let's cut the music. Let's go ahead and cut the music, y'all. All right, sometimes you just gotta let it run. You just gotta let the beat run when it kind of takes you away like that, man. But welcome back, y'all. Welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of hashtag CB99 Talks, your favorite WMMA podcast. This is episode 132. Of course, I'm Combo Breaker 99. Feels like it's been a minute. It's been a minute, y'all, since I dropped one of these shows, man. I think it's been like about 2 or 3 weeks. 2 or 3 weeks, just been busy, busy taking care of things at home, around the way, life and things like that. Yeah, man. So I'm back. I'm back, man. It's good to be back. Of course, I've been on the channel constantly, consistently. I've been chatting it up because I got to get on and talk, man. When it comes down to fights, combat sports is the thing I love. If it's boxing or if it's WMMA, I'm there. I'm on it. I'm on it. But yeah, man. In this episode here, it's kind of going to be a little bit of a catch up thing. There's a lot of fights I want to kind of go back and talk about over the past 2-3 weeks. Um, some fights I want to recommend. What I've been up to, of course. Watching some of these underground fights and these other regional fights, and yeah, I want to start with that. I just kind of want to start with that because the title of this show is going to be the finishing factor. I mean, this past month or so, I want to say all the way back to July 15th now, because yeah, if we want to start all the way back to home MBS, man, from July 15th to August 15th, which is the time I'm recording this episode, we got a lot of finishes, man. WMMA fighters have been stepping it up. The women have been stepping it up when it comes down to finishes. I mean, we had some slow fights. We had we had some fights to go to the cards, but for the most part, we've been getting a lot of finishes. I'm talking about across the board. So, that's what I want to talk about, like how the how the urgency and the killer instinct has been it's really been rising up in these girls and how they're really taking their approach now. How important that is, not just for their career, but well, not just how important it is for us as fans, to keep us tuned in, but how important it is for the fighters. So many levels to it. Once they take this type of approach, we can really start to say, hey, this fighter right here, they're not just going through the motions, they're taking this thing seriously, right? So I'm gonna kind of go back a couple of weeks and just talk about several fights I want y'all to go check out and kind of run through them, just run through them real quick because some of y'all already seen them. And of course, the fights this past weekend, just to kind of tune some of y'all in on which fighters I'm looking at and who to really look out for. What else? Oh yeah, I might just talk about Amanda Nunes here a little bit because she's still in the news, and of course the fight coming up in September, Rose and Manon. Now I know it's fight weekend and this is a big one, so this episode probably gonna have a part two this week. So I'll be back on live talking about that. So I'm not really gonna be discussing Weili Lemos in this episode. I know y'all gonna get me for this, but hey, I've been talking about it already. Well, you know what? Let me go ahead and start off with some little Weili Lemos talk. I did watch the UFC 292 embedded, the little first episode with Weili and Lemos, Weili and Amanda. And the more and more I look at these two fighters, I got to give them a lot of respect, man. Like it, it's really hard to pick in this fight. Like as far as like a fan pick. Now as a analyst, yeah, I'll make a pick. I'm gonna make a pick. But as far as like just saying I want one to get it over the other because I feel like this person's a better representative for the strawweight division, I don't think I can really just say that because they both fight for their reasons. They both fight for their specific reasons. They both come off as, sweet, sweet fighters outside of the cage. They both are, really, to me, well mannered, mild mannered for the most part. It's only when they get in the cage that these two are real killers. But when they're outside of the cage, I like their approach. Amanda Nunes, not Amanda, Amanda Lemos. I like her. I like her drive, man. She's she's gone through a lot in life, and just listening to her story, how I believe she was saying she couldn't afford being a fighter at the time, and she had to take a job as a cab driver, and she was just like giving people rides through these rough parts in the neighborhood, and they'd be like shootouts and things like that, and the people would leave, and she wasn't getting paid for this, right? She wasn't getting paid for this. So she got that call. Somebody said, "Hey, do you want to fight?" It was like a 15-day notice fight in the UFC, and she was like, "Yeah." And it turned out to be the Leslie Smith fight, at 135. And she took the fight, showed a lot of heart in that fight against a bigger warrior, a bigger fighter, strong warrior, Leslie Smith. And she came up short, but from there, she's kind of had a rocky road. I know that she was a fighter that had popped at a point in her life, and she was gone for 2 years. But just seeing the things that she's going through and a lot of the pressures, I could probably understand why that happened. Because you got to realize, like, these fighters, they go through a lot behind the scenes, and sometimes you make the wrong choices, right? Sometimes you make the wrong choice. I'm not saying that people get a pass, because yes, she got punished for it. She was suspended for 2 years, right? She was out for 2 years. Okay. But sometimes when you think about it, some of the situations these fighters are in, they don't deserve to be condemned for it. I think everybody does deserve a second chance, and I believe that somebody like Lemos, with the situation she was in, she deserves to come back from that. She deserves that second chance. And since then, I think she's learned her lesson, and she's doing all the hard work just like anybody. Um, Weili's doing what she's doing to be a better fighter. She always keeps that like core family oriented type of approach of training, just kind of getting away, but keeping like her core people with her, doing little things that keep her, sharp, and just doing things that are familiar from home, the way they cook, the way they all cook together, and just kind of take those nature trails and things like that, seeing the animals, and just she's really the type of person that just connects, uh, tries to connect to other people, and I think that's why a lot of people are fans of her, and that's why I'm a fan of, you know, both fighters. I'm a fan of both fighters, and to me, it's like I can't really just say one person deserves it more than the other. Again, it's going to come down to me just picking off of skill sets and techniques in this fight. That's what it's going to come down to. I'm not going to just say I want Lemos to win because she's better than Weili, or she's a better representative than Weili, or vice versa. Neither one of them have. I think when it comes down to personalities, they both are legit. They both are legit. They're not talking trash about each other. They're not disrespecting each other. They're not trying to start any drama. The drama and the action is going to come when that cage closes. All right. Okay. So there's your Weili Lemos talk for this episode. I'm going to cover some more later this week. But yeah, y'all check that out. I posted it up. Yeah, it's a good little 15-minute, embedded, just like all of them. But I enjoy it. I enjoy watching. I enjoy watching these ladies and what they bring to the table. But yeah, man, over the past couple of weeks, just been checking out fights like always, doing the same old thing as far as, scoping out the talent, scoping out who's on the come up, who to look out for. But yeah, we've been getting a lot of finishes. A couple of weeks ago, though, we had LFA, can't remember the number, was it 164? Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong. LFA 164. Yeah. The last one with Sabina Mazo. Okay, Sabina Mazo was the main event. And this is something I had said about not Amanda Lemos, but Sabina Mazo. Hang on, I'm just pulling something up here. Okay, yeah. Yeah, LFA 64 hours, right. August 4th. So a couple weeks ago, we had Mazo versus Lovato. And as y'all know, since Sabina Mazo got cut from the UFC like almost a year ago, she was trying to make her way back make her way back onto the scene. And LFA, like I always say, is a good place for these fighters to go, or Invicta. And Sabina Mazo wanted to get back on track, get that confidence back up, and become a two-time flyweight champion. and she was that, right? She is that. It's not a UFC, but she was able to capture the LFA flyweight champion once again with a win over Sandra Lovato. Snapping the 3-fight losing streak. That last fight she had against Miranda, it was a hard loss. It was like last spring, I believe, right? And she hasn't fought since then. But she's been working, trying to get back sharp. This is her first fight back. First fight back was a title fight, and she got a victory. She got a victory. I wouldn't say it's like one of the most explosive performances from her. We've seen her go in there and score some head kick knockouts. Where she just goes in there and sets them up beautifully. But I think this time around she was trying to work on her activity. Sometimes Mazo, she'll sit back and let somebody build up a lead on her, like whoever it is. She'll let her opponent build up a lead, whoever she's fighting. But this time around, I know she was trying to stay busy. She was trying to throw more jabs, throw more combinations, and put together, more of like a pressure style followed by volume. She wasn't really looking for the one head kick knockout in this. She threw a lot of body kicks and, some shoulder kicks and a couple of head kicks, I believe. But for the most part, she was just trying to fight, I think, a good 5-round fight, get some rounds in since she's been out for a year, and kind of get that blood going again, get that action going, but try to make herself fight an uncomfortable fight this time around. Sandra Lovato didn't really bring it like I thought she would. I thought she would have went for more of like a dirty boxing style or trying to get the fight to the ground, but she kind of stayed against the cage and didn't really want to engage, even though she was landing a left hook on Sabina Mazo. She wasn't really trying to follow up and do much damage in this fight. So Sabina Mazo kind of fought a good, comfortable fight. Not a lot of action in this one, but yeah, shout out to Mazo. It's been over a year since she's been out, and she was able to capture the belt. From here, I don't think capturing the belt means that she goes right back into the UFC. Not at all, because this was her first fight to snap a 3-fight losing streak. Okay. I think it'd be wise for her to defend the belt, keep that belt for a little while, or maybe, go around Invicta FC, go to these other organizations. Maybe even sign the PFL, man, because PFL, their little flyweight division they're building up right now, it's starting to pop, man. They're starting to pop. They signing girls over there. They bringing in some of the girls from like Bellator and some of the girls from the UFC over there. So maybe signing the PFL, maybe getting the belt over there, and then coming back to the UFC in like another 2-3 years. She can kind of she could probably do that. Just start off here, start off light, build herself back up, build her skills up, and then go to the UFC like another 2 or 3 years. So yeah, shout out to Mazo. She was able to capture belt again, and hopefully she can come back stronger. All right. And there was this fight, this UFC fight a few weeks back. I don't know if I really discussed it with y'all, but I feel like I didn't. Well, I think we talked about it a little bit. I think I might have just did live on it. But there was just a couple things I wanted to talk about with this one here, because I've had my thoughts on, the signing of Shauna Bannon so soon. But once again, welcome to the UFC, Shauna Bannon. Got to say it that way because it's one of those premature signings that I was a little shaky about. I know this was Bruna Brazil. She got a hard loss. Also, her debut was a rough one. I welcomed her as well when she fought Denise Gomes. Knocked out in the first round. I had high hopes for Bruna Brazil, but this is a good look for Bruna Brazil. She came in, fought a good fight, but I think there was still something lacking from both of these fighters. And I think I remember what it was. I said, where the heck was the jab at in this fight, man? I mean, these girls were throwing strikes all night, all kinds of strikes, head kicks, body kicks, hard right hands, left hooks. Every now and then I would see a jab pop off and it would be effective. And I was like, why are we not building off of that? And that's what I'm saying. That's why some of these girls out here, like, they're not going to be able to make it to that top 5 or top 10 status, man, because that jab is an important punch. Like sometimes just the straight attacks where you're just leading, it leaves you too predictable, And I think that's what Shauna Bannon what she lacked in this fight. She lacked that jab. I mean, if she would have set up a long jab on Bruna Brazil, who was fighting while like taekwondo or like a karate fighter, she could have knocked her off balance a lot of times in this fight. And same thing for Bruna Brazil, her being so long, she needed more of a kickboxing approach. They were really bouncing around on their feet, trying to throw these high kicks for the most part. And yeah, it was action packed because they were landing, and Bruna Brazil was landing right hands like this. But I kept saying to myself, man, if they could just like pump like a jab out, that head kick will come and it'll score a good knockout. Karate, of course, and I believe taekwondo, they do translate well into MMA. But I feel like once you mix in like that boxing element, like Rose Namajunas does, I think you get a better outcome and you get a better setup. Like you don't take as many shots. You can land cleaner head kicks once you are, kind of slick with your footwork and you fight behind a straight jab. Every now and then when Bannon would let that jab go, it would hit Bruna Brazil square in the face. It would hit her square in the face. But for the most part, I thought Bruna Brazil, she won every single round. I thought Bannon, she was still fighting on the Invictus FC level. And that's where I wanted to see her fight. I wanted to see Bannon, try to capture the belt at strawweight and either try to fight for T. McCline or Danny McCormick. But, like I always say, once the UFC calls, they answer. Sometimes maybe they need to just leave that phone on, just leave it on vibrate, turn it off. But, once they answer and say, hey, I want that contract, I don't necessarily mean they're ready, man, just because the UFC calls, though. But we'll see, man. She's here now. Who can she fight? I see Shauna Bannon not faring well against a fighter like Loma. Maybe somebody like Maria Oliveira if she's still in the UFC. Dang, I really don't see too many names that she could really build off of. Maybe Pierre Rodriguez. Shauna Bannon maybe could take Pierre Rodriguez, but even then I see Pierre Rodriguez making several adjustments in that type of fight. But yeah, maybe she can take on her. That's the best I could do for her as far as thinking of a fighter. Or maybe if she could fight Hannah Goldie, the winner of Hannah Goldie, Azuki and Inoue. I don't know. I really don't know. Bruna Brazil, I think she needs to just work on her defense, work on more of like a kickboxing style, be a little bit more fluid and let those hands go. Because I think she still has that power. She landed some good head kicks in this fight too, man. But I just don't think they put enough power shots together to really get that to really get that respect from Bannon, or like I said, even mask some shots to score a knockout. All right, but yeah, man. Like I said, going into these other fights, just kind of going through here, man, from PFL, the same Friday of the LFA fight, man, we've been getting a lot of finishes, man. And these girls, they are not playing, man. I'm telling you, man, the jiu-jitsu on some of these girls, it's evolving. Because I'm seeing girls out there I used to just see go in there, just be strikers and pressure fighters. Man, like, they are transitioning beautifully on the ground now. And I'm telling you, man, I'm looking at these girls in the flyweight division for PFL. Of course, they're still growing. Like Chelsea Hackett just made her PFL debut a couple Fridays ago. And I've been watching Cobra Kai Bennett. She had got her first victory like a few months ago at 125 in PFL. I see her as like this hard pressure fighter, action packed. She's been training with like Miranda Maverick and several other fighters like Rocky Pennington, I believe. But Chelsea Hackett, man, she came in here with, some nice counter shots on Cobra Kai. Scored a beautiful second round rear naked choke on Cobra Kai. Just really wore her down in this fight. Cobra Kai Bennett was putting on a lot of pressure, trying to be that aggressor, but Hackett, her ground game in this fight, it was much more smoother. She was just smoother with it. And like I said, in that second round of this fight, the good counter shot she landed is Kai Bennett was stepping in. She hit her with a good right hand and just rattled her and took her to the cage, took her to the ground. And just the way she was able to maul and put a lot of pressure, counter pressure on Kai Bennett and finally get that back. Like you can see here, man, she just locked that rear naked choke in just like that, man. Good fight though. There was another girl. Hold on, Cobra Kai Bennett. I just want to look something up here real quick. Kai Bennett. There's another girl that she had fought that I thought she was. Let me see. Hang on one second. It was one of her. I think it was one of her Bellator fights. Cause yeah, she had fought for in Bellator and got a submission win. That was like maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I believe. But no, it was Invicta. Yeah, she had got a finish in Invicta. Yeah, she had got this finish in Invicta, just back in May. Yeah. She fought in May. You know, she put on a pretty good pressure style. But that's the one thing I was gonna say about Kai Bennett is that she tends to, leave herself open a lot, leave herself open for a lot of shots. She likes to come forward and wants to put that brawling pressure style on you. But Chelsea Hackett, she really wasn't having it. She was just stepping back with the counter shots. Yeah, so this was actually Kai Bennett's first fight in PFL too. That's what I was going to say because Invicta FC, she made her debut with them just back in May, and then she fought for PFL for the first time August 4th. And this was Chelsea Hackett's first fight as well. Chelsea Hackett, she's like 4-1 now. But yeah, Chelsea Hackett fought for the Contender Series, and she actually lost to Victoria Leonardo, if y'all remember that fight. Yeah, Victoria Leonardo actually got her UFC contract off of that fight. Yeah, that's where I remember her from. Yeah, she really got outgunned in that fight, but since then, man, she's made some improvements. And that was like 3 years ago. So since that Victoria Leonardo loss, she hasn't fought. She's really been working, man. I guess she's really been trying her best to, polish things up because, her ground game, it really has improved since I've seen her in her early career, like 3 or 4 years ago, man. So, yeah, shout out to Chelsea Hackett. She's only 23 years old. So, when I saw her, she was like 19 or 20. She still looked pretty raw out there. But, yeah, she's been, like, getting better, man. And the way she was transitioning on the ground here, man, I was impressed with it. But, yeah, at 23 years old, she still has a lot, she still has a lot of time to improve, man. Also on this card, you had Taylor Malden versus Desiree Yanez. I was kind of leaning toward Yanez in this fight. She's a sharp puncher, more of a boxer. And let me see, that last fight she had, she scored a knockout over, I think it was Natalia Spies in not PFL, but what is that other organization? Let me keep doing these resume checks because these girls, they be jumping around, man. Hold on. Because I'm just trying to get some of y'all familiarized. Desiree Yanez, y'all know she's fought for Bellator, but she's been signed to PFL since the beginning of this year. She got a victory over, let me see, Mara Mazar. Okay, last year, yeah, she had fought Natalia Spies for Peak Fighting. Yeah. And, she's a pretty sharp hitter. She's a pretty sharp striker, but her ground game is something I've always been kind of questioning. Taylor Malden, she was actually looking pretty, like, solid on this one, man, as far as, like, her jiu-jitsu. I mean, the way Yanez actually had her in a couple of top positions, and the way Taylor Malden was able to reverse and just get her on her, the way she was able to get Yanez on her back, I was impressed, man. The way she got her on her back a couple of times, just snaked around and got the rear naked choke in the first round. So, yeah, man, these girls right now, man, even on this lower level, the way they've been improving in their, like, jiu-jitsu and their positioning, it's just showing you that they're becoming so much more well-rounded that the finishes, you're gonna see, they're gonna come. They're gonna come. The more and more these girls just stay patient, because a lot of these girls weren't really going after. Like Chelsea Hackett, she let Cobra Kai Bennett come to her, and she caught her with a counter shot. Could have scored a knockout, but then took her to the ground and just utilized her ground game, man. So I was impressed with that. But yeah, even going to the UFC, a couple weeks ago, Miranda Maverick bouncing back in the winning circle over Priscilla Cachoeira. It was just good to see a lot of these girls, get back into that kill mode, especially Miranda Maverick. Shout out to my man BJ. He's been saying that he's been wanting to see this. And this is why I've been telling him, like girls like Miranda Maverick, they have it in them. It's just about getting right, getting the mind right, getting around the right people, and making sure you fight with the right focus, and I think sometimes, yeah, the matchup matters. Once you're put in there with the right person, like Miranda Maverick, she was put in here with a killer like Cachoeira. She was able to wake up and say, all right, it's kill or be killed in this situation. You're looking at Cachoeira at the weigh-in, you're like, at the stare down, she's like, oh man, like Cachoeira is, I'm looking too, I'm like, dang, Cachoeira is huge. She's this much bigger than Miranda Maverick, and she's packing this power. Everybody thinking she's going to knock her out or whatever. But then I'm like, you know what? Miranda ain't got nothing to worry about. She's got the skills to totally neutralize it. I mean, if Jillian Roberts can take Cachoeira down and submit her, I know, Miranda Maverick, who's physically stronger, has better striking. She's going to get this girl down. And the way Miranda Maverick set up this finish, I mean, striking's improved, sitting on her shots a little bit more. Of course, she can always do a little bit more and do better in each fight. But the way she was able to slip a lot of the power punches, get the fight to the ground round after round, and just maul Cachoeira, she executed a perfect game plan, just a calm game plan again, knowing that she's well-rounded. She was able to use striking, get the fight to the ground, and maul and just beat up Cachoeira round after round until she, got that armbar win. So yeah, I think again, finishes will come the more and more these girls just kind of play it calm, but come in with more tools, because the more tools you use and the more tools you're equipped with, you can switch on the fly. You can switch on the fly, and when you see a certain opening, then you say, okay, well, I got the tool for this, right? Oh, this person's coming in with their right hand down. I can set a trap with a beautiful left hook. Boom, get him down, and then my jujitsu's on point. I can submit him, right? So yeah, just little things like that, going all the way back to like you, Miranda Maverick. Then of course, like I said a month ago, Mayra Bueno Silva utilizing the ninja choke on Holly Holm. These girls are getting serious with it now, and you really gotta be, because if you don't, it just tends to kind of the shows become a little bit more boring to fight fans. Of course, not to me. I like watching the fights as long as there's some type of science behind it. But to build up yourself in this game right now, especially for women, they got to keep bringing these type of finishes. Especially if you're unranked. You're just coming into the game. You really kind of have to build your name up, because that's how Ronda did it too. Ronda Rousey kind of put herself on the map by being, this dominant figure. Just armbar after armbar after armbar, and then people are gonna keep saying, "Well, who's this person out here finishing?" Well, check them out, and then that makes the casual fan want to check them out, right? So all of these other women as a whole, if they just continue to keep getting finishes like this, or just fighting in a dominant fashion, then as a group, people will just say, hey, man, you got to start checking these women fights out. And they'll be like, which one? Who you talking about? I'm talking about all of them. You just kind of have to do it in that fashion, if you really want to, if you really want to have the cameras put on you and you want more fights and you want to fight on the main card, this type of approach has to be taken. Like I said, not going out there to necessarily get killed and always put on like fight of the night where you're trading toe to toe. I'm saying simply having the tools to get the finish, setting the finish up, being smart about it, and being dominant. Being dominant doesn't necessarily mean you fighting crazy or reckless in there. I mean, they're two different things. Because being dominant just means that, hey, you have the tools to neutralize, you have the tools to tame somebody. And that's what a lot of these girls, I think, need to start doing, just start evolving and start putting more tools in their arsenal, so they can find ways to get these finishes now. Oh man, going to this past weekend too on Rumble. Rumble's like YouTube for y'all don't know. Some of y'all that don't know, I was watching that United Fight League. Shout out to Brittany Cloudy. She was able to get a victory this weekend as well. But this young lady here that Brittany Cloudy's gonna be fighting, Hang on, let me pull up some stats here, because for some of y'all that wonder where I'll be watching these fights, I'm gonna go ahead and let y'all know. So Brittany Cloudy, y'all know I've done an interview with her a couple of times. She's been on the channel. We talked several times, and I still follow her and hit her up every now and then on Instagram. Brittany Cloudy's been fighting for LFA, Invicta FC, and right now she's fighting with the United Fight League. She's in the bantamweight tournament for the United Fight League, and she just recently beat Veronica Smolkova to move on. And unanimous decision. I thought Brittany Cloudy put on a good pressure performance. Good striking, good right hands landing in this fight. At times, I think she kind of smothered her own work a little bit when Veronica Smolkova would come back with a couple of punches. I thought that Brittany Cloudy could have just fought a good rangy fight. Every now and then she would clinch up. Maybe she was just testing her clinch game to see how strong she is and just get that type of a cage control, which is smart. You got to do that every now and then, kind of test your skills out like that, and get better as a fighter. But overall, I think Brittany Cloudy, she won all 3 rounds to me. Smolkova got off a few good punches, but yeah, I think Brittany Cloudy pretty much won, and she's moving on in the bantamweight tournament. But let's see here. I'm gonna pull up the United Fight League, because this young lady right here, we were talking about. Me and BJ were talking about. Well, Claire Guthrie was also in this card. She was like the co-main event. She was taking on Zarina Tori. Oh man, Zarina Tori, man, this girl's she's a big bantamweight too, man. She's long, she's got these wide shoulders. She's like 5'9". She was like huge. I always thought that Claire Guthrie was a good size bantamweight, but man, this girl looked huge, man. I'm talking like almost like Amanda Nunes size. So Zarina Tori, she's going to be one to look out for. I mean, she scored a solid TKO, first round TKO for Claire Guthrie. I mean, Claire Guthrie, she came out blasting strikes. She wanted to come take the fight, low kicks and right hand. She was landing a few shots. She wanted to take the fight to Turi, but Turi, she quickly slowed that pace down with some good kicks to the lead knee of Claire Guthrie. I think she landed maybe like 1 or 2, and you could kind of see a reaction from Guthrie already. She was she kind of had to take a step back, but then Turi started using that size and that pressure to clinch Guthrie up, kind of press her to the cage, just to use that height and size. And then she was landing some hard, vicious knees and combos to the body, kind of backing Guthrie up. Guthrie really had no choice but to retreat, man, because these shots were hard, man. Turi, I thought she was about to stop her, man, because she landed one hard shot that just made Guthrie almost like sink to the cage. And if she didn't like catch herself, I think she was about to get knocked out. But because the ref, he stepped in close, but she recovered, man. But Turi, she's just real long and strong, man. She was just like real long and tall and just kept landing these hard knees. No, I know what it was. Turi landed like a grazing head kick to the chin, and then she landed like a left-right combination. And Guthrie got hurt, man. She like went back to the cage, and somehow she kind of like shook it off and got back into the fight, man. So Guthrie, she tried to like retreat, but then Turi caught her with another one of these blows, man. Like she was just like blowing out that left knee, man. She was kicking it right behind the knee. You could see it was turning red. And Guthrie, I could see like the way her body reaction, she was kind of like stepping back. Her next best thing to do was to go in for a takedown. You could see the pain in Guthrie's movement. Like the lead leg was damaged and she was trying to like slide back to the cage. So she dives in for a takedown. When she dives in on that knee, she just kind of like curls over in pain, man. And the referee, he steps in and stops it right there because Turi's about to let go on her, man. So yeah, man, that was a crazy, like, just tactical breakdown for Turi, man. Just showing you that power, man. She was ripping that lead leg with just like 3 or 4 good hits to that knee. Maybe Guthrie had some damage outside of the cage before that, but man, like those shots were landing perfect right behind the knee. So when she tried to make that adjustment and make it a ground fight, it was too late, man, because she just didn't have the strength in it, and it gave out on her, man. So they had to stop the fight. So yeah, that was another crazy finish this past weekend, man. But now we have Zarina Turi versus Brittany Cloudy. That's going to be a good fight. They're both big, strong bantamweights. I think it's going to be a good stand-up fight. might see some inside fighting in this one, but Tori, she's really physically strong from what I've seen. So I think Brittany Cloudy, her best bet's going to be those straight combinations that she's always letting go. So yeah, shout out to Brittany. That's going to be a good fight. Tori, also, one to look out for. I think Cloudy has a more experience going into this fight. It's going to be like December 16th, I believe. So yeah, Rumble, it's like YouTube and United Fight League. They have a channel there where they just stream their fights live. So if you want to check them out, just download the Rumble app. It's free. It's like YouTube. So you can pull up their fights. So yeah, yeah, man. All of these fights are just ending in finishes now, right? And I'm loving it, man, because a lot of them, like I said, they're not just they're just not like these girls going in for all action brawls or like all out wars. They're actually setting these things up in beautiful ways. Like Tori, she's only 2-0, but she's making some nice little adjustments in there and just slowly chipping away at Claire Guthrie and hitting her with these head kicks, hitting her with these right hands, taking out her lead leg and just picking her apart until she finishes, So a lot of that stuff to me, I find it impressive. I find that stuff impressive, especially when you're able to end the fight. But yeah, man, this past weekend too. Hang on one second. Yeah, man, but this past weekend too, we had all three WMMA fight finishes. All three finishes for the WMMA fights for the UFC. I mean, we already talked about them. I'm not going to go into them like that. I'm just filling y'all in. Y'all didn't know. We had Luana Santos making her UFC debut in dominant fashion. I mean, TKO first round TKO over Juju Miller puts Juju Miller on a 2-fight losing streak right now. Hasn't won a fight yet in the UFC. She's 0-2. Told y'all how I feel about that. I think that releasing Juju Miller right now would be a blessing. It would be a blessing in disguise, because I think that right now with the experience that she has and with what she lacks, I think she'll be a sitting duck for a lot of these fighters because I really don't see any matchups for her that she can win right now. And even if there was one or two, the flyweight division is going to get tougher, man. The flyweight division is just going to be, it's going to be a lot. It's going to be a lot to handle, man, because these girls are well-rounded. I think Juju has the right idea. Like she can strike. She has a ground game. She has a brown belt, BJJ. But I think there's the pacing that she needs to work on. The pacing, cardio, maybe the lifestyle, maybe where the weight cut isn't so hard on her. Or maybe she needs to move up to 135. Maybe that's something she needs to test out outside of the UFC, fight a couple 135ers, fight in the bantamweight division of LFA or Invicta. Or, and defense. Defense is something she needs to work on. Defense is something this girl really needs to work on, man. She's really having a hard time taking her head off the line. And the only way you can do that, really, I think, is starting on that lower level that she's missed. She was only 3-1 for coming into the UFC, only 4 fights. So she hasn't really fought like that DNC level, the DNC level fighter that she can fight a few times, fight a couple of fights, and then say, okay, this is what I need to work on. She jumped right in there with Veronica Hardy, who is a higher level than her, even though she's unranked, and she lost that fight. Now she lost to Luana. She was getting hit by easy shots to get out of the way of. She got stopped in the first round. So yeah, those are some big things to work on, and I think the UFC is just not the place for her to get that work right now. She's got to. Hey, Sabina Mazo has to do it. Sabina Mazo has to do it, and she was an LFA champion, right? So I think maybe Juju has to get released and get that work in, man. Then you had Jacqueline Amorim. Jacqueline Amorim, she got her TKO via ground and pound over Montserrat Ruiz. But the big one, man, Yasmin Lucindo, that triangle arm choke second round triangle arm choke over Poliana Viana was very impressive to me. What I saw Lucindo in this fight, Yasmin Lucindo, I saw a well-rounded fighter. I saw a well-rounded fighter on the come up. She went from counter striker in this fight, a little bit of a pressure fighter, good puncher, throws good kicks, to a good wrestler. She had good strength. Even whenever Poliana Viana took her down, she utilized very good strength to neutralize Poliana Viana. Rock Poliana Viana with some nice shots. When she got her takedown, a good wrestling control, good jiu-jitsu, and then good transition to the arm triangle. So this girl's only 21 years old. And I mean, you're seeing like different things she's doing in there. And what's crazy is she came up short in the Yasmin Haurigi fight, but when you kind of match them up, like I'm still rocking with Yasmin Haurigi, but I'm seeing a little bit more. I'm seeing a little bit more from Lucindo that looks impressive in the last couple fights. As far as like her tactical striking, it's a little bit like a raw version of Amanda Nunes right now. She's always in like a stance where she can throw a kick, go right back to her balance to stop a takedown or get a takedown. The way she keeps her left hand out to measure, she throws it, she keeps it out so she can throw the jab, or when she takes a step back, she can catch you with like a check left hook. She's got the right hand loaded up to throw a power shot. So at 21 years old, she's got a lot of good things worked out for her. She's got a lot of good things I'm seeing right now. And at 21, I think with the way she's moving right now and the way she's beating girls, things can only get better from here. She's a fighter that I say, yeah, like she's young, but she's doing the right things. So you can always match her up. And even if she loses a fight, I think she could still come back from it because defense isn't really like an issue for her. Even if she does get hit, she can make adjustments. She can make adjustments to get the fight to where she needs it to be to win. So all three finishes this past weekend, that's a good sign. That's a good sign for WMMA. Again, I say that because if the girls keep getting finishes like this, the casual fan, they'll tune in. They won't say, "Oh, I need to get up and get a drink during the WMMA fight." Oh, the women are fighting. Oh, let me go order a pizza. Oh, let me go to the bathroom. Men are going to stop saying that. Casual fans are going to stop saying that once, they start performing to this level. Even if you don't get the knockout, it has to be that killer instinct mode. It has to be that mode where you see an urgency. You see an urgency from both fighters that are really trying to get it. It's kill or be killed again. So, I was impressed with these three unranked fights, getting all three finishes like this. You usually don't get that, especially when you get a TKO, a standing on the ground, a standing TKO, a submission. All three of those, right? So yeah, shout out to the ladies this past Saturday for putting on those performances, man. But what else? What else? What else I'm gonna say about like finishes too? I think as much as I love a decision, I love to see fighters that they have that ability to neutralize and tame a fighter in there. Just kind of like systematically break them down. That type of science is fun to watch. Whenever you can see a fighter just take away a weapon and just leave that fighter almost helpless. In a certain situation, you really get to see like, oh wow, like wow, 1 minute they were doing this and then boom, they went to this and they got the win by finish, right? So keep them coming, ladies. Keep the finishes coming, whether it's PFL or LFA. Keep on doing that. And I think, like I said, it'll build up the reputation for not just one individual, but all the women. But if worse comes to worse, it will be for that one individual, like say like a Lucindo. She keeps on coming in with finishes like this. People are going to say, oh yeah, like I love this girl. Hey, I want to see her on the main card. Hey, she was on the main card this past Saturday. So keep doing what she's doing and they'll keep putting her on these type of cards, right? So yeah, but yeah, that was my past couple of weekends, just kind of taking in the scenery, and once again the WMMA scenery, and kind of seeing the the shift here, in attitudes and urgency with the women, talking Myra Buena Silva, uh, Tatiana Suarez, of course, Tatiana Suarez versus Jessica Andrade, things like that. Who else? Miranda Maverick versus Priscilla Cachoeira, just seeing all of these ladies coming out with this type of urgency. Well, Tatiana, she always fights like that, though. She always fights with that dominant factor. She'll come after it. But the way she got it this time was impressive too. Tatiana Suarez did use her striking, to set up, the submission win in this fight, the takedown and finishing the fight in the second round. But yeah, it was fun to see that many fights end and finish, because it's like I said, it's going to kill that reputation of people just saying, oh, women fights are boring, or they always go to decision, or they don't have knockout power, which some of these girls, they do, man. They just have to learn how to set it up, and they're setting it up now. So yeah, good jiu-jitsu, good well-rounded fighters, good well-rounded skills, and really understanding how important it is to just be well-rounded. I think that's going to change the game of WMMA and keep it growing for the better. All right. But yeah, real quick, last topic for this one, y'all. Last topic for this one. Did I talk about this? I might have, but they just keep posting this up. They posted this up again, and they were saying, like, Rose, well, she said it, Rose Namajunas actually spoke these words. She has a fight coming up at 125, and Rose feels like she needs that fight that's gonna like scare her. That's her motivation for the move up to flyweight. She's looking for something that's going to be kind of scary. She's looking for that type of situation, because when you go back to the MMA hour, she said, okay, motivation for moving up to flyweight. Weili's champion now, so what? I fight her a third time. I don't know. It's not. It's not. It's not very interesting. I've already fought Andrade and this and that. And now she's gone back down. Weili's the champ, so then I could just beat her again. But I don't know. To me, it's more than that. I want something that scares me. I want to face my fears. It's always been part of the plan. And yeah, I could keep doing the same old thing. But as soon as this game gets redundant, I can get bored really quick. And that's not good for nobody. So I need to keep it fresh and interesting. So she knows right there, it's not good for nobody, right? Definitely ain't good for the fans. I mean, for her, if she gets bored, yeah, she could retire. But if she chooses to stay and put on boring fights, hey, that ain't good for us. She loses that fan base, right? But yeah, I've always felt like that was one reason that Rose wanted to move up to 125 a little while back. I said, well, she already beat Weili twice. Like, would it really raise stock if she beats her a third time at this point? Like, is this gonna be like Volkanovski, Holloway, in their trilogy, where Rose comes out 0-3? I mean, maybe Weili could beat her this time around, but I don't think we really want to see it. I don't really think we want to see a third fight at this point. I don't think Rose wants to go through that again, because she's already got a legit 2-0 over her. So if she wanted to end it there, fine, right? Because if you go to a third fight and Weili wins, almost got to go best out of 5 at this point, right? Best what? 3 out of 5, right? Yeah. So I think it's better that she's moving up. So yeah, she can kind of get this out of her system, face her fears, and see if she can bring a new Rose to the game. And my thoughts on that, I really don't know. Like, I really don't know if that's the kick for her. Like, if that's going to bring out like another best in her, because I think when you look at it in a technical way, yeah, it worked for her in certain challenges like Andrade. Well, the first time it didn't. For Joanna, for Weili, because technically Rose's style fits the strawweight division, and physically she fits that division. So every time, she would want to face her fears, or like take on a huge challenge and winning the belt again, after beating Andrade in the second fight and saying, okay, I want to fight for the title a second time now. I want to see if I can beat Weili, and she does. I think it all came down to, her style, her technique, and, being the perfect size for that division. But having never fought at 125, I really don't know if she'll just be able to face her fear, and that really ignites this new flame in her where she's going to just be able to beat somebody like Manon. I know a lot of people are always going to say that, okay, Manon's not as technically sound, but that might be true in some areas. But I think Manon, to me, is technically well-rounded enough to fight somebody that's moving up and beat somebody that's moving up like Rose, So maybe that's the factor that Rose is really working towards, knowing that that possibility could happen, and it's forcing her to get better as a fighter. And that's how it is sometimes. You have to kind of put yourself in those dangerous situations to get better, knowing that the challenge is that dangerous, knowing that Manon is this big, this physically strong, is dominating girls for the most part at flyweight, knowing that you took that fight as a first fight away from home, right? You're going to be fighting in Paris, and this is her first time, right? Yeah, this will be her first time fighting in Paris. Putting all of this on you, it could either do two things. It could make you crack, which I, hope that that's not the case with Rose this time, or it can force you to do better, right? So I think that's what it is for Rose. Now it's not just the fact that she's fighting a big, scary fighter, like she said, looking for a scary challenge. It's also the challenge outside of the cage, that's, I think that's kind of amping her up. Now she's forced to grapple more. She's forced to put on more muscle, maybe even, like I said, change the eating style, the lifestyle, doing new things like that, knowing that your life is on the line September 2nd, even more so than before. You have to do all these different things. So, yeah, I've seen this with people before. It doesn't even have to be the fight game. Some people like to gamble, and some people need that, they need that extra push by putting themselves in that shark tank to be the best swimmer now. That you have to be surrounded by these sharks now to make yourself the best swimmer, right? So that's kind of how she sees it. But when I look at Manon's side, I see a hungry fighter over here, one that wants to go for the belt, and one that is in a different mindset. And I've been watching her train, and I see a fighter here that is not going to be a slouch. She's not going to be the one to just fall down or be that stepping stone for Rose at this point. For Rose, yeah, it would be a storybook thing for her, because then she would be either fighting the winner. She'd be fighting Grasso or fighting Valentina. And if she would have beaten the Manon by September, then we'd be saying, oh, wow, maybe she does match up to Valentina now. Now that we've seen Grasso already finish her, right? Now she looks like she could be in that realm as well, right? Because a little while back we said, oh no, Rose is too small, Valentina would break her. But now we've seen Grasso finish her, and then September 2nd we'll see what Rose looks like physically too, right? So yeah, we never know though, man. But I still think Manon's going to have enough to win this fight. Like I said, maybe she's not as sharp in that one aspect of boxing, but I think her all around tools combined with the size and the strength are going to be a big factor in this fight for her. But yeah, hopefully it makes Rose rise to the occasion and make it a good challenging fight, because for the most part, I do want to see Manon in there with a challenge, because if she just runs through Rose, people aren't going to give her credit for that either, right? I still want her to be dominant, but I don't want to hear people saying, "Oh man, like she just fought another nobody." Oh, Rose ain't nobody. But there are a lot of people picking Rose, though. There are a lot of people picking Rose, and I'm gonna remember that they are picking her. So y'all giving her that much credit when Manon wins this fight. Y'all better give her credit for the win. All right. But yeah, man, that's all I got on this one, guys. Been on here almost an hour, and that's how it usually goes when you talk about something you like. I really, like I said, over the past few weeks, I've been pleased with a lot of the fights we've been getting. I mean, we had this other Rising fight. I did a video on, my girl Claire Lopez. She came up short against hold on, what is her name? This was Rising versus Combate. Because that was another finish. That was another finish a couple weeks ago, man. And that one was vicious, man. Hang on one second here. It is, let's see. Super Rising 2. This was July 30th, man. This was like a couple weekends ago. This was during the Spence Crawford weekend. This was Saika Ozawa versus Claire Lopez. Y'all look at the top corner picture here. This was another ninja choke. Yeah, this was the other ninja choke. It was a first round ninja choke. I did a video on it. But Claire Lopez, she was trying to back up as Ozawa was storming in. And when she had dropped like a level, she went right into that. Like, I thought it was gonna be a guillotine, but then like Ozawa just tightened up that choke. And as Claire Lopez dropped her knee, she tapped. But even as she tapped and the ref stopped her, her head just like fell backwards, like she passed out. Like, and, it wasn't like Ozawa had held on too long. Like, she didn't acknowledge the tap. She did acknowledge it. I think it was just the point that she tapped at that last minute, and maybe it was just the positioning where she just cut off all air, and it just caught her in that instant. She just passed out. But yeah, that was a vicious ninja choke, man. So yeah, we had some crazy chokes over the past few weekends. I know I was trying to remember something. I was like, there was another ninja choke I was trying to remember. I know it was Myra Silva and it was Ozawa. Yeah, so these girls are finishing right now, man. Like, these jiu-jitsu holds, submission holds, like, you might not get as many knockouts from women, like maybe the power is not there. But if these girls are staying sharp, you can teach. And if they're staying sharp in their BJJ, these submission holds, they can be taught to anybody, men and women. So you'll see more women coming in here with more submissions throughout the years. I mean, look at Karine Silva. Karine Silva alone, man, has all these submissions on her resume. So they're coming, man. And like I said, that's all I got on this one, guys. This is fight week. I'm going to be back through with a few keys to victory and breakdowns for these 3 WMMA fights coming up. It's going to be a wild week, y'all. Let me know what y'all think, man, of like the WMMA rising over the past month or so. What do y'all think of like the performances? We getting a lot of finishes. Is it boring to you, or is it getting exciting? To me, I think it's getting more and more exciting, though. Good to be back. Had to drop another one of these on y'all, man. Like I said, it's been about 2 or 3 weeks, but that's all I got on this one. Make sure y'all subscribe to the channel, subscribe to the show on cv99talks.com, and on iTunes, Spotify. I got to get back on updating it, the website, get it back up, update the shows there so y'all can listen to it on the go. Even if it, you don't pull up YouTube, pull it up on iTunes and anywhere you listen to a podcast, y'all, because I enjoy doing it. And if you keep listening, I keep on doing it. But yeah, I'll catch y'all later on this week, guys. Like always, Combo Breaker 99, UFC 292, boy. We're going to be talking again. I'll be back. Make sure y'all subscribe. Peace.